My channel is mostly about movies or series, but today I'm not doing a movie review or analysis. My channel also aims to talk about life in general. So I want to talk about something personal today, something that has weighed on me for a while. Like many of you, I too believed that landing a job at a prestigious company was the ultimate goal, the dream. But over the years, I've seen friends, colleagues, and even myself crumble under the pressure of the very thing we worked so hard to achieve. We're burning out, not because we're lazy or unmotivated, but because somewhere along the way we accepted a toxic system as normal, and it's time we finally talked about it. I'm talking about this because I'm absolutely distraught about seeing the news of Anna Sebastian on the television.
Tragic case involving the death of a young Ernst & Young employee has sparked discussions on workplace rights and led to calls for legislative change.
Ernst & Young, a major player in the global accounting and advisory industry, is under scrutiny in India following the tragic death of a 26-year-old chartered accountant, Anna Sebastian.
Death of this young professional, who's 26-year-old, has now raised several concerns over the workplace practices at the multinational firms.
Are Indians overworked? We are asking that question because a disturbing incident has sparked this conversation in India.
Now let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. The dream job myth. Every fresh graduate, every ambitious young professional is sold this fantasy that working for the big names in some of the major corporate offices is the ultimate goal. You know what that dream really is? It's a trap. A trap masked as success, glorified by years of indoctrination that worships overwork, long hours, and total devotion to the corporate machine. You think you're climbing a ladder to success, but in reality, you're just digging a deeper hole of exploitation, anxiety, and burnout. Take the case of the 26-year-old Anna Sebastian just recently, who tragically passed away. Just 4 months into her role, the constant pressure, 18-hour workdays, and relentless demands overwhelmed her. Her story is not unique. In fact, a McKinsey survey shows that 1 in 3 employees in Asia experiences burnout, higher than the global average. The problem isn't these companies are inherently evil or anything. It's the culture we have collectively fostered. A culture where if you leave the office at 6 p.m., you're considered lazy. A culture where if you don't reply to emails at midnights, you're not dedicated enough. This isn't just a problem at any one firm. It's an India-wide problem. Now here's the truth. Overwork is not just a byproduct of bad management, it's glorified. In Indian corporate culture, burning the midnight oil is a badge of honor. If you're not staying late, if you're not stressed out, you're not working hard enough. But what's the real cost? It's stories like Anna Sebastian's. In her mother's heartbreaking letter to the company's chairman, she painfully recounts how her daughter faced relentless pressure just months into her job. Anna's mental and physical health deteriorated, yet her cry for help went completely unnoticed, and perhaps the most heart-wrenching part, no one from the company even attended her funeral. Her mother's words reflect not just the loss of a young life, but the deep, systematic disregard for employee well-being in these companies. Anna's story is a stark reminder that this toxic glorification of overwork is not sustainable. It is destroying lives. Her mother's letter went viral because it struck a chord with countless others who are silently suffering under the same corporate expectations. And this culture doesn't start in the workplace. It starts in our education system. From a young age, we are conditioned to sacrifice sleep, mental health, and well-being in pursuit of success. And what's the result? A workforce that's not only exhausted, but one that thinks this is normal. You're applauded for being a dedicated employee, but that dedication comes at the cost of your life. In fact, India leads the world in workplace burnout, with 59% of employees reporting symptoms. A staggering 62% of Indian workers report feeling completely exhausted. This isn't an isolated problem, this is a crisis. The WHO even estimates that 12 billion working days are lost globally each year to mental health issues like anxiety, depression, costing $1 trillion in productivity. Anna's recent case: she worked at a big corporate office for 4 months and succumbed to the pressure. 4 months again. normalized sacrificing everything for the sake of career growth, and the companies are more than happy to exploit that mindset. The work culture in India is rooted in an unhealthy obsession with hard work. And I don't mean hard work in a positive, productive way. I mean a culture that values slogging for long hours over actual productivity. In Western countries, when people talk about work-life balance, it's a genuine conversation. In India, when someone brings up work-life balance, they are laughed at. We pride ourselves on being hardworking, but let's call it what it really is: overworking. This obsession isn't about efficiency or result. It's about how much you're willing to sacrifice for your job. And then there's this great fantasy, the on-site dream. Many employees remain trapped in this grind because they believe the ultimate reward is an on-site opportunity, a chance to live abroad, to escape to a better life. It's the carrot that keeps people running, thinking if they just keep their heads down, work through the long hours and say yes to everything, they'll be chosen. But what's the reality? They go abroad and often face the same burnout in a different country. The promise of on-site isn't a golden ticket, it's a continuation of the same toxic cycle, just in a different time zone. A big part of this problem is the Chalta hai attitude that pervades not just the corporate world but Indian society at large. Employees face toxic bosses, relentless work schedules, and poor mental health, but they don't speak out because chalta hai. Chalta hai. This was evident in the aftermath of Anna Sebastian's death. Her mother's letter openly questioned how a company could allow such extreme work pressure to go unchecked, and how no one from the company even had the decency to show up at her funeral. Their passive acceptance of terrible conditions enables the exploitation. We shrug it off because we think everyone's going through it, so it's okay. But it is not okay. Anita's letter reminds us that this culture of silence must stop. People are suffering, people are dying, and we cannot keep normalizing it. You see companies rolling out wellness programs, yoga sessions, mental health days, but these are just band-aids on a bullet wound. None of these initiatives matter when the core culture remains toxic. You can't meditate your way out of a 70-hour work week. Now, why people don't speak up? It's simple: fear. Fear of losing their jobs, fear of being seen as a troublemaker, fear of being ostracized. Let's be real. How many of you felt anxious about taking a sick day? How many of you have seen colleagues mentally break down but kept quiet because you don't want to jeopardize your own position? This culture of silence is what keeps the toxic system running. If you don't conform, you're cast aside. If you speak up, you're replaceable. What does that say about us as a workforce? That we value our careers more than our well-being? That we'd rather suffer in silence than risk being out of a job? This fear-based work environment not only exploits employees but crushes innovation and creativity. People aren't working because they're passionate, they're working because they're scared. So how can we fix it? Well, the first step is to acknowledge that the problem isn't with individual companies, it's with the culture we've cultivated across the board. Until we collectively reject the notion that overwork equals dedication, nothing will change. Companies need to stop rewarding hours worked and start rewarding actual results. Employees need to feel empowered to speak about their mental health and well-being without fear of retaliation. It's time for a shift in mindset, one that values work-life balance not as luxury but as a necessity, one that understands that a mental healthy employee is a more productive and creative one. We need to stop glorifying exhaustion and start glorifying efficiency, creativity, and balance. It's not about how many hours you work, it's about how much impact you create. The toxic work culture in India is not going to change overnight, but it starts with conversations like this. It starts with us questioning the systems we've been conditioned to accept. It starts with recognizing that no job, no matter how prestigious, is worth sacrificing your health, your happiness, or your life. I'm here not to ask you today to like, share, or subscribe. I'm here to ask you to wake up. If this resonates with you, if you've felt the burnout, the anxiety, the crushing weight of expectations, please don't stay silent. Raise your voice. Talk to your colleagues. Reach out to your managers. Stand up for yourself and for those who can't. We have normalized suffering in the name of success for way too long, and it's time we break that cycle. The change has to start with you, and it must start today. Thank you.